All right, so today's deep dive, it's a wild one. We're talking Dave Portnoy, Barstool Sports, all that good stuff.
Yeah, you weren't kidding about the deep part. Articles, social media. I even saw some legal documents in here. Someone did their homework.
Haha. Well, you know me. Got to get the full picture right. And with Portnoy, it's not just about the pizza, even though he wants us to think that. We've got accusations of misogyny, shady business dealings, the whole 9 yards.
It's a lot, yeah. But then you've got this other side. This massive, and I mean massive, fan base who hang on his every word, every pizza review. And this pizza festival he throws, it draws huge BE names, not just in the pizza world either. So what's the deal? Is it all just a persona, a way to sell more pizza, or is there something more to Portnoy's recipe for success?
Right. Because it can't just be the pizza, can it? Though I've heard those reviews are the real deal. But anyway, you sent over this information about Brendan J. Sullivan, something about Lady Gaga.
Yes. And it's actually, I think, a really interesting contrast to Portnoy. So we've got Sullivan, a DJ, known for being like the nicest guy in nightlife. Yeah. Helps launch Lady Gaga's career, positivity, collaboration, all that.
Okay, so I've got Mr. Nice Guy over here.
And then you've got Portnoy, who builds his empire on, being provocative, let's just say.
Yeah, that's one way to put it. So 2 paths to fame, huh?
Yeah.
But still, you got to admit, going from a sports blog to this multi-million-dollar media company, that's impressive, no?
Oh, absolutely impressive, yeah. But the path to get there, it's paved with controversy, to put it mildly. And we see this pattern over and over in what you sent over. Outrageous statements, aggressive online behavior, even accusations of straight up stealing content to grow that Barstool brand.
So are we talking 2 sides of the same coin here? Different strategies, but both leading to success in the end?
That's what we're here to figure out, right? I mean, on the surface, they're total opposites, Sullivan and Portnoy. But they both understood how to grab attention. And in the world of media, attention equals power. It's just that Portnoy, he seems willing to push those boundaries a lot further, even if it means stepping over the line.
And he has definitely landed in hot water for it. You send over the stuff about the National Labor Relations Board getting involved. Refresh my memory. What was that all about?
Basically, the NLRB, they had to step in when Portnoy publicly threatened to fire any employee who even thought about joining a union. Like, just talking about it was enough for him to go on the attack.
Wow. Okay, so not exactly a fan of organized labor then.
Well, and here's where it gets interesting. After that whole thing went down, Portnoy digs up this old blog post of his from way back in 2015.
Okay.
And in it, he's boasting about wanting to smash any attempts at unionizing. Like, this wasn't some heat of the moment thing. It's a pattern of behavior.
So this aggression, this need to control the narrative, it goes way back. But if it's all part of his brand, part of the act, does that make it okay?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because this pattern, it pops up again and again, even when we look at something that seems totally harmless, like his One Bite Pizza Festival.
Pizza festivals, I mean, usually you think like good food, good times, right? Not exactly a hotbed of controversy.
You'd think so, right? I mean, it's about as uncontroversial as it gets. But then again, Portnoy's whole brand, it's about pushing those buttons. And this festival, it's like this weird microcosm of his whole deal.
You're saying the festival itself is controversial, because I'm looking at the lists you sent over, the restaurants, the sponsors. These are big names, some serious culinary players.
Oh, absolutely. And that's part of what makes Portnoy so good at what he does. He knows how to leverage everything his followers, his whole pizza expert persona, to create this event that people feel like they have to be at.
But then there's the other side of it. All the stuff we were just talking about. You sent over those articles, accusations of misconduct at Barstool, that whole toxic work environment. And then there are those claims that Portnoy himself actually encourages his fans to harass anyone who criticizes him.
And that's when this pattern we're talking about, this aggression, it really goes into overdrive.
Yeah.
Because instead of maybe, taking a step back when these accusations come out, showing a little self-awareness, Portnoy doubles down.
Like that time he called that reporter from the Washington Post.
Exactly. Emily Heil, a food writer, she's just doing her job, reaching out to sponsors, asking about their support for the festival, given all the controversy. Totally reasonable.
Yeah, it sounds like standard journalistic practice to me.
Right, but Portnoy, he posts this whole video, him calling her, accusing her of lying, basically unleashing his fans on her.
See, that's what gets me. It's one thing to defend yourself if you think you're being unfairly targeted, but this feels different. It's like he's using his platform, his fans, to just shut down any conversation, any criticism.
And it's the same playbook he used with the NLRB, right? Any perceived threat, employees talking about a union, journalists asking questions, these women coming forward, it's all met with the same response. He attacks, he deflects, he turns his fans into, well,
weapons.
yeah, I mean, it's not that extreme, but you see what I mean? And it makes that contrast with someone like Brendan J. Sullivan even more stark. Remember Sullivan's book, all about collaboration, sharing success, everyone who ever believed in a dream. It's a completely different mindset.
Makes you wonder, what is Portnoy so afraid of? If the guy's for real, if his pizza's as good as he says, shouldn't he be able to handle a little criticism?
$1 million question, right? And it's one that I think everyone who watches his videos, who goes to his events, has to ask themselves, are you supporting the pizza or are you supporting him?
It's tough, right? Because he's built this whole empire. He's employing people. I mean, even supporting local businesses with all those pizza reviews. You can see why people are drawn to that.
Oh, for sure. And you got to give him credit. The guy's entertaining, funny, relatable, at least to a certain audience. And he's turned pizza into, I don't know, something kind of mythical.
Yeah, for sure. He's tapped into something, that's for sure. But then there's this whole other side, this dark side that we can't ignore. We talked about the accusations, the way he shuts down critics. There's even that quote, I think it's just from that article about the festival, where he basically says anyone who criticizes him deserves to, well, not to put too fine a point on it, but to die. How do you square those two things?
Yeah, it's almost impossible, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the conversation we need to be having, not just about Portnoy, but about anyone who's built a platform on this kind of calculated controversy.
Yeah.
Because it forces us to look at ourselves, you know, what are our values? What are we willing to overlook for a laugh, for a slice of pizza, for whatever it is?
Are we okay with this idea that someone can be both wildly successful and still be, I don't know, maybe even dangerous?
Yeah.
That we can just enjoy the product, the pizza, so to speak, and ignore everything else?
Exactly. And it gets even trickier when you factor in social media.
Right.
Because it's not even about individual choice anymore. It's algorithms, echo chambers, these things that amplify these voices, these brands, whether or not their behavior deserves it.
So, I mean, what's the answer here? Is there even one?
I don't think there's a simple answer. But at least this deep dive, it's given us the background, the different sides, to start asking the right questions. What are you willing to support? How much power are we giving these online platforms? What responsibility do you have if you've got a voice, a following in all this?
Wow. Yeah. I'm definitely walking away from this with a lot to think about. Started with a simple question. Is it just about the pizza? And, well...
And we ended up where? Somewhere pretty deep, right?
No kidding. We've covered a media empire, the dark side of fame, what it means to have a voice online, and all because of pizza.
Proof that even the simplest things can lead to some really important conversations.
Yeah.
And that's something worth chewing on. That's